Hey everyone, welcome back once again. So today, as you can see, we're back upstairs in the Stephen King corner. And if you've been following this channel since the beginning, you would know that the very first video I posted was of my Stephen King collection. And I mean, the production level wasn't the greatest. I didn't really know what I was doing too much. But so yeah, I wanted to do a update of my Stephen King collection with maybe a little bit better quality, and yeah, just kind of go over all the books I have real quickly, shelf by shelf, and yeah, just talk about some of the editions and things of that nature. So if you're a big fan of Stephen King and you're a big fan of looking at specific editions themselves, then this is the video for you. So let's get right into it. Okay, so starting on my top shelf here of the first bookcase, I keep all of my hardcover editions, as you can see. In the middle there, the book itself with the case to go with it is the Cemetery Dance 25th Anniversary Special Edition. That was it was the first special edition novel I ever did purchase, and I didn't really know much about book buying when I bought it. I just bought it because it looked cool, and that thing has appreciated quite a bit over the years. So definitely opened the door for me in terms of buying limited edition books, especially Stephen King books. To the right, to my right, your right as well, the North American first edition, as you can see. And then to the left is the Hodder and Stoughton, the UK first edition as well. So overall makes up my shelf. Moving down one more, this is the shelf that I have dedicated to all the Bachmann books, except for the Regulators. And the only reason I don't keep the Regulators here is because it has that nice artwork that creates the picture with Desperation, which you'll see a little bit later in this collection, which I displayed together. So on this shelf, right in the middle, is one of the crown jewels of my entire collection, a standalone copy of Rage. This one ended up costing me a bit of a pretty penny, probably the most I've paid for any of the books in my collection, but I figured why come this far and not crown it with one of the more obscure ones like this, and I am proud to own it. It is the UK edition, and as we move to the right, Thinner and Blaze, keep my hard copies there. I got a hard copy edition of the Bachmann books, one of the original printings, as well as the paperback copy on the left, and the 3 standalones of The Long Walk, Roadwork, and The Running Man, the pocket books editions. And in the middle there, just under Rage, you can see the newer print of the Bachmann books, which I bought accidentally looking for Rage before I owned it, not realizing the newer print doesn't have it printed in it. So that's the reason why I have so many of those, but yeah, I still keep them all on the shelf together. Moving down one more, this shelf I dedicate to my newer Signet paperbacks, and as you can see there on the end, I do have a couple anchor books, as well as my Stephen King Funko Pop, which fits nicely on this shelf there, and the Colorado Kid French edition, which was accidentally bought. I'll probably get rid of that. Right now it just fills out the shelf because it makes everything fit nice and tight. So as you can see, I've collected a lot of this release. This was probably when I first started reading Stephen King and really started collecting it. These were the paperback releases that were on the market, so that's why I ended up picking up so many of them. If you're interested more in these copies, I did do a video just looking at all the covers from this set, as well as you can see, a little bit of the shelf below, which we'll get to next, the more vintage ones as well. So there is a video dedicated to just those, if you want to check that out, to look a little more in-depth at the covers and the copies and everything like that. Okay, moving down one more. Like I said, right below it is the older editions of the Signet paperbacks. So these ones, actually most of them have the same covers as the first edition hardcovers, so they actually look pretty nice in that regard. And I do love the way they have that worn, really red look to them. I like a novel, a paperback that looks like it's been read a couple times. So I think these all look good together on one shelf like this, especially right below the newer printings. So yeah, this one's a pretty one. As we move down one more, on this shelf we have our pocket books, paperbacks, as well as the Hardcase Crimes, as well as a box set of some Dark Tower paperbacks as well, which was from Scribner. So as you can tell, if you haven't been able to notice, I do sort my paperbacks by publisher, which makes it all kind of look uniform. And finally, this is pretty much just an overflow shelf. I've got some doubles there of Salem's Lot and some copies that I had picked up without dust jackets before I completed my hardcover collection. I got Rose Madder there, the Hodder and Stoughton edition, and then I keep some of the gallery paperbacks there that kind of round it out. There's not a whole lot of them, so they just kind of round out my collection, with a audio edition of Colorado Kid, which was ordered by accident as well. And yeah, that rounds out the first bookshelf. So as we move over to the top shelf of where I have pretty much all my hardcovers, just have a little Dark Tower shelf up top here with the limited edition of The Little Sisters of Illyria and The Wind Through the Keyhole, both from Grant, and they do a really good job making high quality books at Grant for sure. And right in the middle, I keep my children's novel of Charlie the Choo Choo. Those of you who have read the Dark Tower series get how that was actually just a book in the series that they ended up publishing later on. So it's a pretty cool little trinket, I guess, you could have in your Dark Tower collection. On this shelf, as you can see, I keep all my Dark Tower hardcovers. The Gunslinger, the copy of the Gunslinger there on your left, is a first edition second printing. That's about as high I was willing to go with that one. Still very, very nice copy. As we move forward, the next 5, Drawing of the Three Wastelands, Wizard and Glass, Wolves of the Cala, Song of Susanna are all first edition first printings. And someone did point out to me that that copy of the Dark Tower isn't exactly a first edition first printing, which was sold by Grant. So I'm not sure if that's a book club edition. I believe it is. I was mistaken in my first video, and I was corrected. So yeah, I mean, most of a first edition first, which I'm pretty proud to have still. Pretty good looking collection on the shelf. Little skinny shelf in the middle here that I lay some of my excess Dark Tower stuff down flat, horizontally. So you can see there I've got the Dark Tower graphic novels, some of them. I don't think that's the complete set. Then I've got the large print paperbacks there for the first 4 books that I just picked up at thrift stores when I found them. Sorry, as well as the Dark Tower there. And the Complete Concordance, which was by Robin Firth. That's actually a really cool encyclopedia type novel that if you want to read the series through and just kind of keep that one at your side and look stuff up along the way, look terms up and things like that, it kind of adds to your reading experience, which is pretty cool. And I got the Darkman there, the illustrated edition, hardcover edition, just kind of laid out like that because I don't really have any other spot for it. So like I said, little skinny shelf in the middle, which kind of makes my entire bookshelf work size-wise, so there's not a whole lot of wasted space. So that's the reason behind that one for sure. Now we begin my hardcover collection. They are in order of publication, but as you can see, I start with the Dead Zone because I do have a separate display for my 6 Doubleday books, which we will get to in just a bit. So, like I said, we start with the Dead Zone. I do this on every shelf where I display one forwards, just one that kind of is in the middle, and I really like the look of it. So in this case, it was The Eyes of the Dragon, really beautiful copy with like the scaling and everything like that, which you probably can't pick up on this video, but if you've ever seen that copy in person, you can see it's got like dragon scales on it and things like that. So it's a really pretty book, and it's the one that gets the honor on my first shelf of the forward facing. All the way through to Needful Things, and yeah, all hardcovers. Moving down one more and progressing through my hardcover collection. Here we start with Gerald's Game Dolores Claiborne, follow it all the way through to Cell, and the honor on this shelf goes to Storm of the Century hardcover edition, which just was an awesome screenplay to read, and it looks really nice. There's like a sheen to it and everything like that, so at different angles the lightning kind of lights up. It's a really beautiful copy if you haven't gotten your hands on one of those. On this shelf we begin with Lizzie's Story and continue all the way through to Sleeping Beauties, and this one, as you can see right in the middle, we have the Joyland Illustrated Edition. I love the hard copy editions of the hard case crime books. I just find they do a really good job with it. It's alternate artwork from the paperbacks as well, and that's just a really nice cover that looks good in the middle of the shelf. And finally, rounding it out, we have Elevation, all of the newer reads there, The Outsider, Institute, If It Bleeds, followed by Later, which I keep forward facing for now until this shelf gets completed. We'll see what else comes in. Billy Summers, and then the Gwendy books, which we should have Gwendy's Final Task to add to that very shortly. And I keep the Necronomicon on this shelf as well, just because, you know, Lovecraft was an inspiration to King, and I'm just working my way through that one, just reading a short story here and there, and there's some pretty crazy stuff. I would recommend that to anybody who is a constant reader and read a lot of King. It's pretty cool. Well, like I mentioned before, the reason why I didn't have the Regulators in the Bachmann shelf was because of these two editions right here of that book and Desperation. A lot of people own these editions. There's nothing too special about them other than the fact that the artwork is beautiful and they just look really good displayed together like that. So I keep these two on the top shelf. Now we start getting into some of my limited editions that I keep displayed forward here. This is the first book in the Cemetery Dance Doubleday Year set. If you don't know what that is, Cemetery Dance, over a lot of years, they've been doing this for a while now, publishes these really nice limited editions of the 6 Doubleday books. So Carrie, Salem's Lot, The Shining, Night Shift, The Stand, and Pet Cemetery. And 4 of the 6 are out, which I'll show you in a second. And I do display them on either side of my shelf. So this one is Carrie. The next one is Salem's Lot. And also, I did do a video going through all these books and looking at some of the artwork and everything like that on all my limited editions. So if you're interested in checking these out further, take a look at my channel and you'll find the video of all my limited editions. And finally, we have The Shining. That rounds out the first 3 on my smaller bookshelf here. All right, so on the top now, this is on the other side of my piano, and we'll get to what's in the middle in a second. We'll round it out with that. But on the top of this one, I have the hardcover edition of Cycle of the Werewolf, which this one has turned out to be a pretty rare book. If you know the going rate on this one right now, it's not an easy one to find, and the resale seems to have gone up quite a bit. So I'm pretty happy to have this one and have gotten it when I got it. It's a really, really nice edition. And we have book number 4 in the Cemetery Dance Doubleday Year set, Night Shift, which just came out last year. So we're only missing The Stand and Pet Cemetery, and The Stand is currently in production, and I'm hoping for a 2022 shipment of that one if everything goes according to plan. So a couple empty shelves here, which will round out my final 2. So we'll have the full display of the 6 books, 3 on each side. And then I will slowly fill up these smaller shelves with my limited editions, spine first. So I got Misery, Sleeping Beauties, Revival, and some Joe Hill books, 20th Century Ghosts, and Horns. Love collecting limited editions, and I think once I get more and fill up these shelves like this, they're gonna look really nice, and it'll be a nice little garnish on top of my entire bookshelf. And finally, rounding it all out, right above my piano, in between the two bookshelves, I keep this display here. And it is all 6 of the Doubleday books that were published. And as you can see on the bottom, those are all they're not first editions, because all these first editions do fetch a pretty penny. Most of them are book club editions, but as long as I had the original printings and they were in pretty decent condition, I was pretty happy with settling with that. Pet Sematary is the only first. The others are all book club editions, but like I said, I'm okay with it. And on top, in case you don't know what those are, same 6 books, but those were called the Thomas Holdorf editions. And the reason why they're called that is because the artist, his name was Thomas Holdorf, who ended up designing those covers. And not really too well known. It did take a little bit of digging for me to end up making sure I purchased the correct editions online. And, you know, I got most of them through eBay and talking with the seller and everything like that, just to make sure I knew what I was getting. And really happy with it. Just think they really look all nice together, uniform like that. And this is just a nice touch right in the middle there. So just giving you a little look from a little farther back here of how it all looks together. As you can see, my piano's there, and just these shelves right here that I keep my limited editions on. You'll see how it's going to look once I pick up the stand in Pet Sematary, and I'll have all 6 of those kind of bookending this display here right in the middle. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. As always, if you've watched this far, I truly do thank you. If you love this kind of content, if you just love popular culture, reading, movies, anything like that, especially horror, especially Stephen King, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys soon.